Famer Bob Shaner Jr. and Lehigh Valley Golf Hall of Famer Jim Boros. That's pretty good company. He was also a runner-up at the 2017 New Jersey Mid-Am, and he's had a great mid-amateur career. We, of course, know 2012 he made it to the quarterfinals of match play. I don't know that, Matt, it could get any better than being in the Sweet 16 on your home course at Saucon Valley in 2014. I know you would have liked to move on a little further, but that was a pretty good showing in front of the home crowd. He is Philadelphia's 2017 Golf Association Philadelphia Player of the Year. Matty is a graduate of Allentown Central Catholic 2004, Notre Dame University 2008. You know their football team's number 3 now, right? I kind of think. He's a financial advisor for Morgan Stanley. Let's please welcome Matt Matari.
So I'd like to thank Carl for giving me the opportunity to be here this evening. I imagine a lot of people in the room have done public speaking in some forum. I've got plenty of experience, but this occasion is very different from my perspective. I'm not giving a presentation or a best man speech or accepting an award or being inducted into any halls of fame. This was a far more abstract assignment. Talk for 10 to 15 minutes about my experience in golf and how the lessons learned from it have affected my life and career. And the age range for the audience is 16 to 80. I mean, that's easy enough, right? Simple target. First of all, you've reached a completely different phase of your life when people start asking you to be philosophical and impart life lessons. I'm 31 years old. Don't get me wrong, it feels really old to me. But I don't often sit back being reflective about many things in my life at this juncture. I used to have to resort to nostalgia about Notre Dame football, but that's not even necessary now that the Irish steamroll ranked teams every Saturday. But hey, listen, when Carl calls you and asks for something, there's no choice but to answer the bell. So I'll take the next few minutes to kind of impart what little wisdom I have at 31 years old. An easy place to start is right here in this room. At my table tonight is Robin McCool, who is 66 years young, Foss Capabianca, who is 45, and Tino Calantoni, who is 39. Behind them is Moravian Academy senior Matt Polsini, Bobby Beck, and Drew Warner from the champion Moravian Academy golf team. We all compete together for Saucon Valley's GAP teams, and I count them all as friends as well as teammates. The age range from the youngest to the oldest on the team is nearly 50 years. Golf bridges generations more than just about any other sport or activity. In business and in life, it's vital to be able to forge strong relationships with people no matter the age. You need to be able to relate to and lead those younger than you, earn the respect of your peers, and pay the proper respect to your elders. Golf provides a perfect avenue to learn to do all of these things. In the same vein, golf also provides an opportunity to set an example. This, of course, pertains to how to conduct yourself on a golf course, but the lesson can also be applied much more broadly. When I started playing in golf men's tournaments as a high schooler, I remember rounds where I was paired with players like Rich Kovacs, Dominic Carr, and Jason Wilson. These were all guys who were out to win whatever event we were playing in. They had no time to babysit or tolerate immature antics. But instead of being icy or annoyed that they were saddled with a pairing that included a kid years away from his first shave, they always treated me like a peer. They were welcoming and made me feel comfortable, even though at that age I was punching a bit above my weight in men's events. There are plenty of times in business when you encounter a new hire in the office. Sometimes they're fresh out of school on their first job. Sometimes they're older and experiencing a midlife career change. All of them have some level of trepidation about being an outsider and new. The same way guys like Dominic, Jason, and Rich went out of their way to make me feel like I belonged, you should try to do the same for those in the business world. Offer to take them out to lunch their first day. Loop them in on happy hours. Teach them Natty Light is not on tap in the adult world, and that they might as well hand in their resignation if they order another Long Island iced tea at a work function. Anything to help ease the transition, make them feel as if they belong, and not get fired. I've been at Morgan Stanley for over 6 years now, and one of the necessities in the finance world is building and maintaining a robust network. Golf teaches you networking skills in spades from an early age. There's an old Harvey Penick book called "And If You Play Golf, You Are My Friend." For the most part, that's true, though I'd amend it to "If you play golf, you are my friend, as long as you did not play golf on the Emmaus golf team." If you did, you'll be put through an extensive vetting process before the title of friend is bestowed upon you. But I digress. The premise of Penick's phrase is that you're predisposed to like someone because you share an interest in the game of golf. It rings pretty true. Every one of us has undoubtedly experienced a situation where we're in a group of strangers chatting, someone mentions golf, and suddenly the conversation veers off in that direction for an hour with your new best friend. Now imagine if you apply that attitude and approach to everyone you met in social situations, not just golfers. That sort of engagement and predisposition entering conversation goes a long way in forming lasting bonds. It leads to showing genuine interest in people and their stories, something that will serve you well not only in business, but in life in general. Having the aforementioned expansive network only does you good, though, if you have a solid reputation within it. Another thing golf teaches from a very early age is that your actions have consequences that will have an effect on your reputation for the rest of your life. There is an ethical line you can never cross in the game of golf. If you cheat and you are caught, you will forever be branded a cheater, whether you're 14 or 24 or 54. Vijay Singh rose to #1 in the world, but he still carries a scarlet letter due to a cheating scandal when he had just turned pro. Arguably the greatest amateur of all time in the New York metropolitan area was caught cheating in his late 40s, and he was so ostracized afterwards that he turned pro and tried the senior tour since he wasn't welcome at amateur events. I could regale you with plenty of cheating stories, but that's not really the point. It is never worth sacrificing your ethics for one stroke or one tournament. Just like in the business world, it's never worth sacrificing your ethics for one deal or one client. If you consciously do the wrong thing for a single client, then that stain will follow you for the rest of your career. Approaching any moral dilemmas in business with the same hard line as you do in the game of golf will serve you well. Long-term consequences aren't always negative, though. When I was 12 or 13 years old, I was playing in the Penn Jersey Championship here at Green Pond. I was not playing particularly well, and after the 12th hole, I was completely distraught. I'd probably registered my 5th 3-putt of the day, as is the norm at the pond, and I bolted toward the 13th tee across the street nearly in tears. On my way, I crossed paths with Doug Kingston as he walked from 17 green to 18 tee. Doug was a friend of mine from Saucon, and for those who don't know or remember Doug, he was the best junior golfer in the area and on his way to earning a scholarship to UNC Chapel Hill. He was 3 years my elder, so he was competing in the 16 to 18-year-old division that actually mattered. You know, the division that gets the big old picture and article in the Express Times. Now, he easily could have just breezed by the upset little kid and continued his round. In fact, that probably would have been my preference at the time, to just be invisible. But he saw me and how visibly upset I was, peeled off from the guys that he was walking with, and asked how I was doing. I could barely get words out, I was so mad and embarrassed. And he grabbed me by the shoulder and said, "Hey man, it's just golf. It's nothing to beat yourself up over. Just take a deep breath, relax, and go have fun." I kind of nodded in acknowledgement, gave a sheepish laugh, realizing how ridiculous I looked, and went to the 13th hole with a new attitude. I'd like to say Doug's words spurred me to a great finish, but I honestly don't remember. It's more likely that I played the last 6 holes at 6 over with a couple more 3-putts en route to finishing 20 strokes behind Brian Ott. But that encounter still sticks out in my head because it taught me the impact of a small, thoughtful gesture. Here I am 20 years later reliving a moment Doug probably forgot by the end of the next hole. Golf provides a lot of opportunities to make an impact, and I'll never forget how sometimes the smallest things leave the longest lasting impressions. One of those long-lasting impressions for me came in 2014. That year I qualified for the USGA Mid-Am, which, as most of you here know, was hosted at Saucon Valley. Through a friend, we arranged for Lou Holtz to be the keynote speaker for the Players' Dinner. I know. We just didn't have the pull to get the Philadelphia Player of the Year, so we had to settle for a football coach. You're all so lucky Carl has better connections. Coach Holtz arrived a few hours early and wanted to tour the facility, so I hopped in a cart with him and drove him around Wayhill. As we rode, he asked if I was nervous about being the hometown guy and all the extra attention that came with it for the week. I said there was certainly extra pressure, but I was trying to embrace it. He turned and looked at me and said, "Whenever nerves creep in, remember that being nervous is for people who haven't prepared for the moment. If you've prepared for the moment, be excited to showcase all the work that you put in." That really struck a chord with me. There were times in that tournament where pressure mounted, but I would literally say that phrase to myself before I started my pre-shot routine. It would relax me and I would execute. Months and years of hard work went into preparing for that week in my golf career. Why shouldn't I be confident that I was ready for it? Why shouldn't I be excited to demonstrate the fruits of my labor? There are no shortcuts to being fully prepared to succeed in golf, just like there are no shortcuts to being prepared in the business world. But whether you're heading to the first tee of a tournament, walking into a big prospect pitch, or getting ready to deliver a major presentation, if you know you've done everything you could to prepare, then you have earned every right to be confident. And confidence goes a long way in determining success in any arena. I'm sure I could find a few more anecdotes or pearly words of wisdom to speak about, like how golf teaches you to handle adversity with grace, and if Cam Newton grew up playing golf, maybe he wouldn't cry every time someone asked him about a poor performance. But I'll wrap up with one final thing golf has taught me, and it's a lesson that applies to this moment in my life, standing at this podium right now. In 2008, I was in the Pennsylvania Open at Old York Road, sitting at -1 going into the third and final round. This was the first time I'd ever had standard bearers following my group for a tournament, and man, did I feel like I was big time. Within the first hour of the round, though, my ball morphed from a Titleist into a burrowing animal. A plugged line of greenside bunker on 3 led to a triple. Another buried line on 5, another other. By the time I made the turn, I wasn't even in the top 25. Tournament etiquette teaches you in situations like that to stay out of people's way that are still in contention. Play faster, ask whether they want you to putt out or mark your ball. It doesn't mean you stop trying, but you have to be considerate and have some self-awareness and stay out of the way. It's an unspoken acknowledgement that it's not always about you. So how does that apply to this moment? I am acutely aware tonight is not about me. Tonight is a celebration of 3 figures in local golf history being honored and recognized for their accomplishments and contributions. So with that in mind, I will happily step away from the podium and turn the focus of the evening squarely back to them. Congratulations to Kevin, Terry, and Bob on your inductions, to all the other honorees this evening. Thank you all for your time, and go Irish.